Hello, everyone. Thank you all so much for being here. I hope you're having an amazing morning or night so far, depending on what part of the world you're coming from. So, again, thank you so much for being here. I'm so grateful for you. And welcome. My name's Katy Speziale, and I'm here to present to you Embody and Bring Out the Empowered Creator Within You. So, let's jump right into it. So who is this workshop for? This workshop is for artists and creators, for anyone who wants to be more creative or experience creativity in their life, for anyone who would love to discover or gain clarity about their purpose in life, for anyone who would like to be more brave and confident, anyone who wants to come up with their own ideas, original ideas with flow and ease, and for anyone who is looking to better themselves as a person. So, what can you expect from this presentation? So, we will talk about discovering your purpose in life, how to be in a creative state of flow to come up with endless original ideas. Excuse me, the importance of pushing past mental blocks and beliefs that aren't serving you. See mistakes as beautiful opportunities, and how to ignite your inner bravery. So my ultimate promise to you is that you will walk out of here with clarity of ways to bring out the empowered creator that's already within you. So, are you ready to impact your life? Let's begin. Have you ever thought things like, I can't come up with my own ideas to create art. I don't know how. Or I don't feel like my art is good enough to share to the world. Or things like, I'm afraid to make mistakes in my art and I don't want to mess things up. I know I've had thoughts like this myself for sure. Or things like, I'm afraid people will judge me if I fully express who I truly am, or I want to be more brave and confident, but I don't know how, or I feel like something is blocking me from moving forward, but I don't know what it is. I've definitely felt a lot of these myself, but now I've pushed past them and my life has changed exponentially. And I want to help you experience the same and have that change in your life too. So, what the real problem is, good news, it's not what we just talked about. So, none of those are actually the real problem. The real problem is that you haven't made these shifts yet. So, once you make these shifts, you will finally feel confident and brave enough to express who you truly are. You will be able to put yourself in a creative state of flow whenever you want and come up with the most incredible original ideas. You will push past blocks to better yourself as a person and continue to move forward and be 1% or more better every single day. So, a little bit about me. My name's Katy Speziale. I'm from a small town in Northern Ontario, and my mission is to empower people to embody colorful and easy lives so that they will live with joy and inspiration. I'm an award-winning author of the book, The Empowered Creator, which is right here if you can see it. I think you could sort of see it. And I strive to empower artists to bring out the brave, bold confidence within that's already within them so that they will see their worth and potential. I am a self-taught artist and have been painting with acrylics on canvas for over 14 years and have literally been creative my entire life before that. So that's a little bit about me. And now let's talk about discovering the shifts. So how I personally discovered the shifts was through a personal development journey. So I got invited to a personal development course in July 2021. And shortly after that, I dove deep into the world of personal development. Like that was my first introduction. And it was like, oh my goodness, this is like an entirely new world to me. And I thought it was just amazing. And I just kept diving deeper into it. So I started to become more aware of several mental blocks that I had within me that I didn't even realize were there. And a lot of them were generational. Like I realized a lot had come from my parents, which probably came from their parents and then their parents and so on. So I know a lot came from down the generational line. And as soon as I became aware of these blocks, I was able to change them. And that's just it. Once you become aware of them, you can choose to make a change in your life. So I became aware of all the things I'd overcome as an artist. And I realized that I was an unconscious competent for several years. I was doing all these things like putting myself into a beautiful state of flow and coming up with amazing ideas. And I was able to change my perspective and didn't realize how I was doing it at the time. Different things like that, or expressing my true divine self, but never really thought twice about it. So I didn't really realize how I was doing these things, but I was doing them. And I continued my personal development journey and took a branding foundations program with Tiffany Newman, which turned out to be a pretty much a self discovery journey for me. It was incredible. So, throughout that, I decided that I wanted to write my book, The Empowered Creator, about all my discoveries so that other artists and creators can overcome these mental blocks as well and learn how the greatest, like a lot of the greatest creators, have achieved their greatness by making certain shifts and following a process of creating. So that brings us to the shifts. So, shift number one, finding your purpose in life. So, I want you to begin asking yourself things like, what do you enjoy doing? What are your strengths, talents, abilities, and superpowers? What are things that you could do that like come really easily to you, but might be more difficult for someone else to do? What would you love? What would you love to experience in life? So once you start asking these deeper questions, it starts leading you into a ton of beautiful realizations that you might not have been aware of before without asking these deeper questions. And I want you to really put away excuses you have and like say, I can't do this, or I don't have the money for this, or anything like that. Any blocks, just, or other people's opinions, just push it all aside and go within and think about truly what you want for you. Not what everyone else wants for you, but what you want for you. So think from an infinite perspective as well. Like anything can go, anything, like you could do anything, right? So think from that perspective. And that will tell you the kind of impact you would truly like to make on the world. And that brings out your purpose and how you want to make a difference in the world. So for me personally, I became aware that I had always wanted to write a book, but I had thoughts in the past that like I never really thought it was possible for me, or like maybe I'll write a book one day, like saying it like it was like way in the future, like it probably wouldn't happen. But then I started thinking from an infinite perspective and that it was totally possible for me. And I really wanted to write a book. So that's kind of how I made it happen. And that's how I found my purpose of writing the book, my purpose of expanding my art business and really putting my art into the world. So we're going to move on to the second shift now. Oh, and take a screenshot of this if you'd like. So then you could answer these later in a notebook. And I really want you to journal about this because it will bring out things in you that you didn't necessarily know about yourself. So really journal and you will find your purpose, or find the start of your purpose, and you'll figure it out as you go. You know what I mean? So shift number 2 is creative state of flow. So what is a creative state of flow? It's when you feel so inspired and your mind is flowing with tons of incredible ideas, like just flowing like a waterfall. Ideas are coming after ideas and ideas. It's amazing. So how can you get into a creative state of flow? You can start by doing things that make you happy. So say you love snowboarding or swimming, walking, hiking, hula hooping, like whatever it is that makes you happy, do that. So for me personally, it's walking. So I have a ton of loves, but like one thing that really puts me in a state of flow is when I'm walking, because that's something I really enjoy doing. I love walking and being out in nature and stuff. So once you're doing something that makes you happy, I want you to feel and be in gratitude and really just be present in the moment and really enjoy doing what you're doing. So when I'm out for my walks, I'm feeling so grateful that, I have functional legs that I can walk on, and it's a beautiful day out and I'm alive to be able to walk, and and there's this beautiful nature around me, so many trees and birds, and I'm literally just so grateful for everything in my life in that moment. And then what you want to do next is decide that you want to be in a creative state of flow so that you can allow those ideas to pour in. So, personally, like during my personal development journey, like I had mentioned before, I realized that I was an unconscious competent, and I was doing things like coming up with my own ideas and being in a state of flow, but I didn't know how until I dug deeper and kind of put the pieces together of what really puts me into a state of flow. And that was kind of the list of what I figured out puts me into a state of flow. So I find that I do this when I'm walking, taking a hot bath, baking, hiking, because those are all things that I love to do. So that's really what gets me into a state of flow. So once you do those first 3 steps, you want to place an intention that you would like to come up with ideas. So personally, like I ask myself questions like, what should I paint today? Like when I start to do my walk, that's the intentional place. I'll be like, I want to create something. And then I'll ask myself, like, what should I paint today? What should I create? What would I love to create? And I just kind of toss those questions out there. And then again, I'd be really present in the moment, really grateful, and ideas start to flood into my mind. Like literally, like they'll just start flowing and everything, my imagination just starts turning, and it's amazing the ideas that will come when you place that intention and you're doing something you love and you're just enjoying your time on earth, right? So when that happens, be sure to have like a notebook or your phone or something close by, because once those ideas come, you'll need a place to like jot them down on because the ideas will start to flow. So yeah, give that a try, and please let me know how it goes on social media or anywhere else to connect with me. I would love to know how that goes. My social media for Facebook and Instagram is Katy Speziale Art. So shift number 3 is mental blocks. So what is a mental block? Mental blocks are beliefs that you hold within your subconscious mind that cause your thoughts, behaviors, habits, and actions to happen. So throughout my personal development journey, uh, I tend to speak about this a lot because it was my personal development journey has been such a massive shift in my life, because before that I was just living my life how you think you're supposed to live it, and I didn't know any different. I didn't know that I can be the creator of my life. So that's why I refer to my journey so much, because it is just so amazing. So I realized that I needed to know about mental blocks in order to choose to shift them. So I decided to add several mental blocks to my book, The Empowered Creator, for that exact reason. Sorry, I was just checking my notes because I didn't want to miss anything important. I really want to give you guys as much value as absolutely possible here. So I added so many mental blocks into my book, The Empowered Creator, because so that if you have any of those blocks and you don't realize them, you'll become aware of them. And that's the importance of becoming aware of mental blocks, is once you're aware of them, you can shift them. You can choose to shift your perspective so that you can better yourself and thrive and succeed and, succeed towards your goals. So a big example of one of the shifts, the mental blocks that I realized I had, was self-talk. I had never heard of that before. So when I became aware of self-talk through something in the personal development world, whether it was a book, a video, an audio book, like who knows what I was reading or listening to at the time, but I became aware of self-talk. And I was so grateful that I became aware of that block, because like self-talk is what you're saying about yourself, and what you're saying about yourself or what you think about yourself. So really, like for me, I realized that I was doing things like, if I did something wrong, I would say, like, in my head, I would be talking to myself and I would be like, "Oh, you idiot." And when I realized that, I'm like, "Oh my goodness, like I would never say that to anyone else on this earth. Like I would never say that to someone. That's awful to say. So why am I saying it to myself?" And asking that question, it was like, and just becoming aware of all that, it was like, whoa. And I realized that was a generational pattern. I realized who it came from. And I'm like, wow, okay, like I need to make this shift now that I know about this. I can choose to change this pattern. So I became aware of my self talk and was able to become a lot better at it. And I actually tell myself beautiful things, because we shouldn't be telling ourselves bad things. What good is that going to do us, right? So whenever I caught myself saying something nasty to myself in my head, I would automatically change it right away as soon as I realized. And that was the first part of the shift. And it kind of starts like that. Like it started slow. Like sometimes I wouldn't realize I was doing it till after. And then soon I would like realize before I even thought it, and like changed it right away before. And now there's no negative self-talk. So it takes time, but as you keep progressing, your self-talk will get a lot better. So that's a really incredible block to be aware of if you happen to have that. So be genuinely aware of how you're talking to yourself or speaking about yourself to others. And another big mental block that I had as well was worst case scenarios. So this is within the imagination. And I realized that I was telling myself all these worst case scenarios, like that's where my mind automatically went to, where my imagination was creating from. I would think of a situation that's coming up and think about all the worst things that could happen. And it's like, well, why would I do that? And I didn't realize I was doing it until, a book or something made me aware that I was doing it. So I was thinking things like a worst case scenario, like I won't make any sales around Christmas because no one will want to buy, right? So it's really negative things like that. And those end up becoming self-fulfilling prophecies. And you actually attract just that into your life. So what you can do to make a shift is start thinking of the best case scenarios instead. Because when you're thinking from best case scenarios and from good things that could happen, you're going to attract good things to happen to you in your life. So you don't want to create those self-fulfilling prophecies. Create so much amazing things in your life because you truly have the power in your thoughts to create the world around you. So I challenge you to start thinking of best case scenarios when you're creating in your imagination. So let's move on to shift number 4, which is seeing mistakes as beautiful opportunities. So have you ever had a time where you like smudged paint or your pencil or whatever medium you're choosing to create with at the time, and it smears across your canvas or paper or whatever it is you're creating on, or has paint, like your paintbrush fell down and like smeared across your canvas on the way down, or paint like splashed across your canvas? Because like that's happened to me several times as an artist. So if you've ever experienced situations like this where so-called mistakes happen, well, you'll likely feel pretty defeated or upset. And that's truly how I felt before. I would feel, a mistake would happen and I would be like, oh my goodness, my painting's ruined. Like, what am I going to do? And it felt super defeating and stuff. But how you can make a shift in this is to change your mindset about the situation. So see this smudge or mistake as a beautiful opportunity instead. So start thinking of things like, what can I add to my creation to cover the smudge? Or is it possible to do a smudge in a different spot to make it look like the smudge was intentional and meant to like place there intentionally and make it look cohesive with the other smudge? Do a couple smudges or something like that? Or can you extend the image outward so it covers the smudge? There are so many ways you can literally fix a mistake if you choose to see it as a beautiful opportunity. I know in my art, I've done things like, I've smudged a spot and it's like, okay. So like at first I'll try and fix it, wipe it off or whatever. But then I stop and it's like, if, the smudge doesn't come off, it's like, okay, what can I make out of this? Something else is obviously meant to go there. So what can I put there to enhance my art? And oftentimes, honestly, my art turns out 100 times better than it would have if I actually stuck to what I had planned in the first place. So the smudge actually creates something I wouldn't have thought of in the first place, which is really, really awesome. So I just wanted to kind of show in my painting here. I'm not sure if you could see very good, but I'll show anyways. So I was doing the words at the top of this painting. It says, be the change you wish to see in the world. So in be the change, I'm trying to line up my hands here. So at change, it kind of went into the side of the leaf there. And I didn't intentionally plan to do that. I wanted it to be more centered, like maybe end over here somewhere, but it ended in the leaf. So once I got down to the bottom line, I chose to do the word in, so in the world. I put that a little bit in the leaf too, so it's kind of across from the other side. So it actually looks like it was intentional and looks very cohesive with the other part. So it looks like I intentionally did that. And it does look better than it probably would have if I just left it without it going into those leaves. So if you choose to see your mistakes as beautiful opportunities, you'll have these opportunities to create different things in your paintings, whether that be like adding a bird or another swirl into your painting or something like that. You know what I mean? There's always a way to fix it if you choose to see it as a beautiful opportunity. So, shift number 5 is ignite your inner bravery. So, I truly believe that we all have been brave at some point in our lives, and we could use that memory of being brave to be brave again and again. So, think about the last time you felt brave. Was it when you were trying something new that you've never done before? Or was it when you faced a fear head on? Or when you stood up for something you believe in? Those are all situations where you might have felt brave in. So, based on how you feel from your experience of being brave, embrace that feeling and use it for the next time you want to be brave again. Remind yourself of when you were brave to keep pushing forward to be brave again and again. So, an example of this for me was when it was driving. I was terrified to drive before. I don't know why. I don't know if that was like a generational fear that got passed down. I'm not sure. But I was terrified to drive for so many years. But the big shift for me to push past that fear and be brave was when my desire for independence became stronger than my fear. So, my desire for independence of being able to drive myself places and not have to rely on someone else to drive me places became so much stronger than my fear of actually driving. That's when I actually pushed to be brave enough to do so. So when you have a desire, you will push past those fears and be so brave. And then you'll just be brave again and again, right? So when I decided that I was going to drive to the city with my parents, and I had told them, I'm like, can I drive you guys there? And they were pretty scared as well because they knew how nervous I was about driving. So I drove the 2 hours on the highway, which is the longest I ever drove before, ever. And then I drove in the city that day, which I'd only drove in the small town I'm from before that. So, like in the city, there's, a lot more people and vehicles and street lights and all that kind of stuff that wasn't in the small town I was from. And then I picked out my dream vehicle and put it on order and drove back home on the highway again, the 2 hours again, in the dark and in the rain. So there was a lot of firsts that day, and that was the bravest I've ever felt, hands down, for sure. So think of situations, even if they're little situations, think of situations in your life when you felt so brave inside of you, and harness that bravery so that when you're put into a situation where you're kind of feeling fearful and, unsure, think of that time that you were brave and utilize that to drive you to feel brave again. And I want to mention too, my brother mentioned, he said something to me when I was, before I started driving to the city and in the city and everything. He said, don't overthink it. So whenever your mind's racing and feeling all those fears and doubts and all those different things, literally just tell yourself to stop and say, don't overthink it. And you will literally silence all those doubts and fears and just be like, oh, it's literally a game changer. Like, just the simplest little line and concept, just don't overthink it. And it's like, okay. And then realize, like, yeah, believe in yourself. You've got this. And feel that bravery from the last time to push yourself into feeling brave again and again. So I just want to do a little recap of what we talked about. So we spoke about finding your purpose in life, how to be in a state of flow to come up with endless original ideas, the importance of pushing past mental blocks and beliefs that aren't serving you, seeing mistakes as beautiful opportunities, and how to ignite your inner bravery. So, what you need to soar into the empowered creator within you is my 4 Eyes framework. So, my 4 Eyes framework, this framework has been used by some of the greatest creators to achieve their greatness. I just put it into basically a cohesive way of seeing it. So it starts with the 4 Eyes are imagination, inspiration, intuition, and ignite. And so I want to talk a little bit about all these 4 Eyes. And we spoke a little bit about certain things. So I want to dive a little bit deeper into it. So imagination is really when you create your life and your canvas in an intentional way. So everything you create in your life and canvas starts within your imagination. So if you truly think about it, our imaginations are incredibly powerful, and we all have beautiful imaginations. Like when people tell me like, I'm not that creative, it's like, I hate to burst your bubble, but we're all creative, just in different ways and how we choose to utilize our imaginations. We all have beautiful imaginations. So I'm trying to think of where I was going with this. But you want to create your life intentionally. Oh, I remembered. So if you look at all the things around you right now, so say this mug is around me. This is actually one of my paintings, Sunset Crows. But say this mug or the canvas I paint on behind me, a bottle of hand cream, my laptop, anything like that. That started within, all those ideas started within someone's imagination before they actually came into the physical world. So everything starts within the imagination. It first starts as an idea, as a concept within your imagination, and then you're able to bring it into reality. So let's talk about inspiration next. So, inspiration is when you see the world from an infinite perspective of possibilities. So, when you're in, we talked about being in a state of flow. So, when you're in a beautiful state of flow, your mind will be coming up with all these amazing ideas. And if you allow yourself to see from an infinite perspective, all those possibilities will start running through your mind. And yeah, as you find ways that work for you to feel inspired, whether that be doing what you love, being out in nature, um, whatever inspires you, find that and use that to really help, like utilize it to help you come up with ideas. So next is intuition, which is trusting your inner guide, listening to your heart and gut feeling. And to me, it's truly when God works through me. So it's, that gut feeling, what my heart's telling me to do. So with intuition, when you're about to make a decision in life, trust the gut feeling within. It's what you feel like pulled towards, what feels right within your heart. So when you're making that decision, like just let yourself feel it. It's like, does this feel right or not so good? And really listen and feel the feels to know what path you're meant to take. Because if it feels right within your heart, that's probably the path you're meant to take in whatever decision you're making it about. So next is ignite. So it's igniting your inner bravery, boldness, and confidence to truly bring out the empowered creator within you. So being brave enough to express who you are and shine your light to the world. And when you do so, like the world can always use some more positive light and perspective. So choose to really ignite that bravery by thinking of times you were brave before and not being afraid to express who you truly are to the world because you're actually doing a disservice to people if you're not sharing your story, because someone out there is likely needs to hear your story. Because even me sharing the stuff I'm sharing today will help so many people push past these blocks they might not have known about, or just something might have clicked in their mind to help them discover their purpose or anything like that. You know what I mean? If you even get one gold nugget from this workshop, that's more than you had before it. And, your mind's just expanding and expanding every day. So within these 4 I's, imagination, inspiration, intuition, and ignite, as you could see, they all kind of play towards each other. So you start within the imagination. Then when you're feeling truly inspired, you take the actions, which you listen to your intuition on which actions to take. And then when you're igniting your inner bravery and boldness and doing all this and being, living in your higher self, like who you want to be, where you want to go, that's when you'll soar into the empowered creator that's already within you. So now you have a choice. You can choose to stay stuck in fear, doubt, worry, feeling unfulfilled, all those negative, icky feelings, or you can choose to make a change and fully embody the divine artist within you and bring out the empowered creator that's within you. Everything you need is already within you. And I keep saying this because it's true. It's just about becoming aware of it all and bringing it out of you. So how can I help? I've developed my 4 I's framework in a very easy to read book. As you could see, The Empowered Creator, Embody the Divine Artist Within You. In an easy book that kind of acts as a guide. And each one of the 4 I's, as I talked about before, compiles onto one another to lead you to the empowered creator that's already within you. Who is this book for? So once again, this book is for artists and creators who are looking to better themselves as a person, come up with their own ideas, be brave and confident, be in a creative state of flow, people who want to discover their creative side, anyone who wants to find their purpose in life, all those different things. So the book can be found on Amazon.com and Amazon.ca for $28.88. So a very small investment for so much value. And the book is basically a guide of what the greatest creators have done to achieve their greatness in life. So you can also find it at www.empoweredcreatorbook.com. And that will have the Amazon links there and tell you a little bit more about the book if you still need to know a little bit more. So why did I write this book? I wrote this book because I know how much of an impact it will make on the world. And truly, my biggest goal is to make the world a better place. And I really want artists and I want to empower artists and creators to bring out the bravery, boldness, and confidence within them so that they will see their worth and potential. I believe that you literally have so much potential within you to achieve so much greatness if you just become aware and truly believe in your abilities. And once you believe in your abilities and powers, your superpowers, all these things you have within you, you will truly succeed in all you choose to do in life. So there's also bonuses. If you visit www.empoweredcreatorbook.com, you can get your free bonuses there. And there's like a workbook, a list, a guide. So a couple little things that help make the book even more effective in your life. It just helps expand it even more. And I love that. I always love workbooks. And now I just want to say thank you all so much for being here. I hope that this presentation has helped you gain so much positive perspective, inspiration, and ultimately empowerment, or whatever gold nuggets you were meant to hear today. Because I know there's always something whenever I read something or listen to a webinar, there's always a gold nugget that I'm meant to hear that day. So I hope you got that today. And once again, you can find The Empowered Creator, my book here. It's hard to see, but The Empowered Creator, Embody the Divine Artist Within You. So you can find that at www.empoweredcreatorbook.com to purchase the book and get your bonuses there as well. So if you end up choosing to purchase the book, thank you so much for your support. I truly appreciate it. I'm so grateful. I'm just grateful to share this with you today, truly. And if you don't end up purchasing the book, I just thank you so much for being here and being open to learning and growing and expanding your mind. So thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you all so much. And I hope you have the most amazing and beautiful day or night, again, depending where you are in the world. I just hope you have the most beautiful future. So thanks for being here, and bye for now, everyone. Thanks.